proving these angles. And you're going to have a couple of these types of problems where you're going to be given a congruency statement and you have to determine what postulate or theorem. Those are just the angle relationships that we learned. And then determine which angles are parallel based on the information given. So this first one here, we have angle 15 and angle 13, and we are told that they are congruent. Okay, now by looking at this diagram, I can see that they sit on lines W and X, where, and then in our transversal, in this particular case, is line Y. Y acts like the transversal in this case. So if angle 15 and angle 13 are congruent, that would mean that lines W and X are parallel by the corresponding angle theorem. Okay. Initially, when we introduced this topic to you, we said if the lines are parallel, then corresponding angles are congruent. Well, we can do the reverse and say, well, if corresponding angles are congruent, then therefore the lines must be parallel. This is just saying the reverse of the same theorem, and that's what we call the converse. It just means the opposite. Just a fancy name for it. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. We got angle 5 and angle 10. Okay, so you'll notice that here X acts as the transversal, and Y and Z are the two lines that these two angles sit on. And so angles 5 and angle 10, they sit in between lines Y and Z. So Y is parallel to line Z by the converse, or the opposite of what we know about alternate interior angles. Okay, so don't get confused with the word postulate and theorem, okay? It's just the definition of the angle relationships that we've learned, okay? And the key is making sure that you identify the transversal that these angles sit on, and it's the other two lines that are the lines that are parallel. Okay, so if we take a look at 6 and 7, here's 6, ignore the dog, here's 6 and 7, okay? So they sit on Z, line Z, as the transversal. So if line Z is the transversal, then that means it's lines W and X that are parallel. And if you don't remember the two lines next to each other, that means parallel. Those two lines, it's W and X that are parallel, and Z acts like the transversal based on the converse of consecutive or same side interior angles. Okay. And the last one we have is 16 and 3. Okay, 16 is here, angle 3 is here. So W is the transversal. So if W is the transversal, it means that y is parallel to z. And if you take a look at their position, they're on opposite sides of the transversal, and they're on the exterior of lines y and z. So those two lines are parallel based on the fact that 3 and 16 are alternate exterior angles. Okay, so take a minute, pause the video, and see if you can answer 5 and 6. Okay, so number 5, we're looking at angles 5 and 6. And I think the easiest thing to determine is first determine the transversal that they sit on. Okay, so if this is their if C is their transversal, then it's A and B that are parallel. And they are parallel because they are consecutive interior angles. Okay, and remember, consecutive interior or same side interior angles are always supplementary. Now 4 and 9, you know, 4 is here and 9 is here. So in this case, B is the transversal. So that makes lines C and D parallel. And if you said that 4 and 9 are alternate exterior angles, then you would be correct. Now that we've reviewed the definitions of our angle relationships, let's take a look and see how we would solve a few problems. So if we take a look at number 8, we have 3x plus 25 that angle and 4x plus 21 for that angle. So you'll notice that those angles are alternate interior angles. So that would mean they are congruent. So to solve for this, we would do 4x plus 21 equals 3x plus 25. And then we would obviously solve for x. I'm going to subtract 3x, which would give me x plus 21 equals 25. And then subtract 21 from both sides. And I get 4. Now, in this particular case, it's just asking for the value of x. So we are finished at x equals 4. But if it had asked for the measure of the angle, don't forget that we can take 4x plus 21. We know x equals 4. We can just substitute in that value, which is 16 plus 21, which would give me 37 if my mental math is correct. Okay. The same would be for question number 9 as well. The difference is that you were given 2 alternate exterior angles. And we know alternate exterior angles are congruent. So we would set this up the same way. 7x equals 3x plus 8. And then you would solve for x. Number 7, we have same side or consecutive angles. Okay? And those are the only pair that are supplementary. They are not congruent. So I could do 3x minus 1 plus 91 equals 180. That's one way to solve. But if we know that these angles are supplementary, I could take 180 and subtract 91 to get the value of my other angle, because they are supplementary. So 7, 10 is 9, so that would give me 89. So that would mean this angle here and this angle alone equals 89 degrees. So I could get the same answer by solving 3x minus 1 equals 89 as well. Either equation would work. Okay. Excuse me. Number 10 is a little different because the two angles that are indicated, the 5x plus 3 and the 32 degrees, do not have any relationship whatsoever. But what we do know about parallel lines cut by a transversal is that these angles are supplementary or add to 180, and these angles are supplementary and add to 180. So either way, this is going to be 32 degrees because they're alternate interior and therefore they are congruent. So to find the measure of the other angle, we need to take 180 minus 32, and we get 148 degrees. So this angle is 148, and therefore the angle represented by 5x plus 3 is also 148 degrees. So we have to use what we know about supplementary angles to find the measure of the angle indicated. So now that I know that the other angle is 180 minus 32, because again, everything with parallel lines and transversals are either supplementary or they're congruent. That's how I got the 148. Now I can solve 5x plus 3 equals 148 degrees. Subtract 3 from both sides. I get 5x is equal to 145. And then, of course, my last step would be to divide 145 divided by 5 to get x equals 29. Okay. Similar situation for question number 11 as well. Okay. This angle here that's indicated as x plus 7 has no relationship with the 120 degree angle listed. But I do know this angle is 60 degrees because these angles are supplementary. It also makes this 60 degrees and this 120. So that means this is also, these two angles are congruent because they're alternate interior. So therefore that x plus 7 angle has to be equal to 60 degrees. So to solve for x, we would just subtract 7 from both sides. So x would equal 53. For number 12, we're just given a very straightforward consecutive or same side interior angles. So we can do 4x plus 16 equals 180 because they are supplementary. Or, of course, you could also do 180 minus 16, which is exactly what I have to do here to solve this equation anyway. And when I do 180 minus 16, I get 164. So that is actually the measure of this angle here, because 16 minus 180 is 164. And then, of course, to solve for x, we have to divide both sides by 4. So x equals 41. Okay, so those are how you solve for x. This last one here, number 13, okay, has it's this angle here and this angle here. Well, by looking at those, I know those angles are corresponding angles because they sit in the same position but on different lines. So to solve for x, we just set them equal to each other. Okay. All right, now let's take a look at